Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday, stream of consciousness. Sorry, a few minutes late, as is our want, I guess, since we are doing an hour now on the big football show over on National Stream Sports. But happy to be with you guys on this beautiful Sunday morning. Real quick, on a personal note, why do I keep pulling this up here? Excuse my appearance. I have been sick all week, and it manifested itself a couple of days ago as a horrible abscess in my jaw, which we're getting taken care of as we speak. So, and also I want to, and I'll do this a couple of times maybe during the shows, welcome in my new granddaughter, Emma Jane Maxwell. Arrived Thursday morning about 5:06. Beautiful little girl. Held her for the longest time. She slept in my arms for the longest time yesterday, and it was awesome. Anyway, we'll talk more about that as we go forward, because that's what I'm going to do today. I want to welcome everybody, and again, apologize for my swollen face, but we're better than we were. I keep getting this thing popping up in front of my face. Welcome, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Well, thank you to all the groups that allow me to share the show. You see them scrolling always at the bottom of the show. Some of our favorites anyway. John Gonzalez at Sports Authorities. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball. Who else? Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams, of course, at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. You got Pittsburgh Focus. That's where he's from. And National Footprint, specifically the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoke and Jim Frazier. Quick programming note, Jack and Keith's weekend playbook tomorrow. We'll be on live at 8 a.m. First half of the show, we'll do our normal thing. We'll cover this week's NFL games, some baseball talk, which we'll get into today. But we'll have a guest on tomorrow, Dan Hirschberg, who wrote Baseball in Pinellas County in Florida. And talks about some of the great teams and players and spring trainings. And we'll get into his conversation. And we'll talk a little bit about the baseball races probably as well. So join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. Today, guys, we got a lot to talk about. Baseball races starting to finally, last day of the season, we still got some baseball that counts. Astros out after for the first time since 2016. Yankees and Blue Jays battling, still tied. Blue Jays with a game in hand because of the tiebreaker. Yankees have to win. Blue Jays have to lose. The Yankees can get a bye. That's huge. Cleveland, Detroit probably doesn't really matter. They're both going to play in the next round of the playoffs. But Detroit avoids the that's the word I want to use. The infamy of the worst collapse in baseball history. I guess you could still say that they lose the division. And the Mets need to win, and the Reds need to lose for the Mets to get into the National League playoffs. Nice win for them yesterday. Clay Holmes pitched a really clutch game. Cal Raleigh stuck on 60 home runs. Will not break the record unless he has a huge day today. I would expect him not to play today. And then the Judge Raleigh MVP conversation, obviously, as well. Big day in college football. Oregon with a huge win last night after blowing a 14-point fourth quarter lead. They win in Happy Valley in a whiteout. Dante Moore was tremendous. Drew Allar, similar to Cade Klubnik with Clemson, third-year starters. Stop talking to me about Archer Manning, who's inexperienced. These guys are not playing good football. And we'll talk about some other games. Bama and Georgia. I don't know yet whether Alabama's not as bad as we saw against Florida State, who also lost this week, or Georgia is that team I was afraid they were and finally going to take a step back. We'll see. LSU loses a big game at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, A&M, Vanderbilt in control of the SEC at the moment. John Mateer's injury. It's going to be longer than 3 weeks, Oklahoma fans. Read between the lines. Read between the lines. This is not a 3-week injury. And we'll talk about some other college games. Notre Dame wins big, obviously. The NFL, Caleb Williams. Do we still think I don't know why we think he stinks. His numbers last year were not terrible. The team was terrible. Some of the look was terrible. Caleb Williams played a tremendous football game last week, starting to get Ben Johnson's system. Not blaming coaches here. Fields is back today. Vikings start a 10-day international game trip in Ireland today. Roger Goodell wants to play more international games, by the way. They'll be going to Australia, I think, next year, Asia the year after. But he wants, as soon as I go to 18 games, he wants 16 international games a year, or have everybody play one international game. I don't know. I care. Michael Penix in Atlanta with a big game against the Jaden Daniels-less Redskins today. Brock Purdy's back. Lots to talk about in the NFL. And the Ryder Cup is really the big story today. I leave it to the end. I know you're not all golf fans. I am. We start, I think, at 12 o'clock today. The Euros have a historic lead of 7 points after the first 2 days of 4 sessions. 11 and a half to 4.5, 10. The U.S. has to go 10-2 today in the singles to win this. It's not going to happen. And this isn't so much the Americans are playing badly. Scotty Scheffler hasn't got to win, I grant you. But they're not playing as badly as you might think. Euros are just on fire. Tommy Fleetwood just is throwing darts, putting the lights out. Justin Rose has come up big. And by the way, the fans in New York are just, I'm sorry, I'm a New York guy, but stop already. The antagonize, you can be rowdy, you can root against the Euros, but you should leave them alone in their backswings and whatnot. Rory McIlroy should not have to yell, shut the F up to anybody. And then the caddies, and true Ryder Cup fashion recently, the caddies and the players get into it a little bit, and DeChambeau and Scheffler, Rose, and I forget who Rose was playing with yesterday. They had a little dust up as DeChambeau's caddy would not get out of Rose's way as he tried to line up a putt. Anyway, some exciting stuff there. We'll see if maybe the U.S. can mount a historic comeback. I don't know. Probably a lot of you guys don't care about that, but it is something that is fun for me. So in any event, let me see if I can fix this so I can read these comments. Let's see who's here this morning. JB's with us. Good morning. Check out JB's Back It Up Binge podcast. He does some great interviews and stuff there. Very good. There's Ralph Williams from RW Media. Good morning, Ralph. We mentioned Ralph's show, specifically the Sports Corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. with Smoke and Jim Frazier. Thanks for your support, Ralph. Rick Sherlock, good morning. There's Ralph again. Rick, with your team with a 10-day trip to – this is a historic, by the way. Nobody's ever done back-to-back games, unless I'm forgetting something. Maybe it happened last year. All of a sudden, I'm having this thought that maybe I'm wrong. I feel like nobody's ever stayed and played 2 consecutive weeks in Europe. There's Michael Dighton Edwards. Check out Michael's latest article on TGI Sports Talk and my personal page. And I shared it to a bunch of groups as well. Michael does some really good writing. Michael, you should find somebody that'll pay you. I love having your articles, don't get me wrong. But find a podcast, find a blog that'll pay you, man. You are really, really good. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. But good morning to you. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Almost a Detroit Lion pullover. Everybody wants to take credit for my colors. I'm a big pullover guy, as you've probably noticed on my show. Between Patriot ones, Yankee ones, plain ones, I must have like 40 or 50 of these shirts. I fall in love with some of them, and I rotate the colors. Everybody likes to take credit that I'm wearing it for them. I had no, and usually there's some, like I'll wear red because the Patriots' old colors were red, or my school colors were red. I'll wear the dark blue for the Yankees and the Patriots. But today I had no rhyme or reason other than the fact that I had a light blue T-shirt I put on, so I just put this on over the top of it. There's some explanation we didn't need. James Franklin cannot win the big one. James Franklin now 4-21, Ralph, as you probably know, in games against top 10 opponents. Look at nice comeback in the fourth quarter. Down 14. This was an exciting football game. If you're a college football fan or football fan in general, this was a fun game to watch. But part of Drew Lar's struggles, I got to put on the coaching staff. I think players play like their coaches coach, and I think he coaches too tight. And Drew Lar is not. Listen, they brought in all these weapons. He's got great wide receivers, great running backs, especially when you consider what he's played with the last 2 years. And he's regressing. He didn't play that well before this week against Villanova. And James Franklin can't win big games, but you're stuck with him in Penn State if you're a fan, Frank, or Ralph. I'm not sure if you are. You're a Pitt fan, actually. I know what you are. You're a Pitt Panther fan. They're not buying him out for whatever's left on his contract, $65 or $70 million. But he can't win. And Dante Moore was the best player on the field last night. I had my doubts about Dante Moore. He hadn't played any real competition. Kudos to Boston Paul, who will be on, Paul Spada. We were chatting in the group last night. Paul was a little manic. Michael and I were trying to calm him down a little bit. Maybe I fired him up. I don't know. But I said all along, Oregon wasn't being disrespected. Go win a game. They went and won a game, the biggest game of the day. Maybe the best victory of all the teams in that top 5 this year, or ranked teams, maybe the best victory of all. Again, forget about James Franklin's record against top 10 teams. Going to Penn State and playing in that whiteout at night is not an easy environment. Dante Moore showed great poise and played very, very well. And you're welcome, Ralph, for sure. Ryder Cup, respect y'all that care, but give some love to EPL and European Champions League. I'm a golfer, Michael. I'm not a soccer player. So, Ryder Cup is always going to get a little more play from me than, here's the problem. And I'm like all us ugly Americans, I think, or a lot of us ugly Americans. I'm a soccer fan every 4 years. When the U.S. gets knocked out in the first few rounds, if they make the World Cup. Yeah, you're welcome. Hello, Danny Fuller. How are you out there? Your UCLA Bruins, unfortunately, continue. They go to Northwestern and get beat yesterday. Tough game for you. Good morning, Bill Pulver. How are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Michael says most talented offensive PSU team ever, and they still couldn't win the big one. That offense didn't look prolific, though, did it? To you? Fourth quarter, they played well. They ran the ball really well. But I just don't feel like James Franklin's teams are ever playing the same sophisticated offenses that other top programs are playing in the 21st century. I think it's evolved a little bit. I mean, I was said the last few years that he was playing, he ought to get in the 20th century. This is not a good loss for Penn State because Penn State's going to lose Ohio State. I think they play at Ohio State this year. So they're not going to make the Big Ten championship game. They're not going to make the playoff at 10-2, I don't think. Yeah, maybe they will. 10-2, if that's your only 2 losses. One of them's at home. So anyway, they played valiantly. They came back from a fourth quarter deficit. And, kudos to them, but they lost. At the end of the day, you play to win the game, Herm Edwards said. And Drew Lar, again, I kept hearing Drew Lar's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. And you're going to see this year when they finally give him weapons, wide receivers and running backs, where they were deficient the last couple of years, his first 2 years starting. I see a quarterback who's worse than he was last year. Again, forget it. Because of the hype, we focus on guys like Arch Manning who are inexperienced and are going to have growing pains. Drew Allar should not be having growing pains at this point. Clay Klubnik should not be having growing pains at this point. And the Alabama-Georgia game, Rick, I don't know what to take away from this game, quite frankly. I picked Alabama to win this game. Did I change off? I don't know. We'll have to look at our pick'ems real quick here in a second. Let me get that set up. Did I take Alabama? I didn't bet the. By the way, before I get off that, the Ohio State game, I didn't bet the game. I bet the over, 53.5. And there's no better feeling, by the way, than sitting through the fourth quarter, knowing you lost your bet, just enjoying the game, watching Penn State come back. And yes, I don't get upset when I lose bets. You lose. It's gambling. It's why they call it gambling. So I'd written that off as a loss, and 2 out of 3 losers yesterday. I thought, well, as Penn State started coming back, I'm like, well, we get to overtime. Who knows what can happen? Sure enough, 20 points in overtime, just what I needed to win by half a point. No better feeling. Alabama, Georgia, again, I don't know what I saw last night. Did I see an Alabama team that's better than I thought? They scored 24 points and got shut out in the second half. I'm not sold on Ty Simpson yet as a quarterback. Remember something. Ty Simpson's a fifth-year senior getting his first chance to start. How good can he be? He played well yesterday, but how good can he really be? If you're a fifth-year, think about the environment we live in today with college football. If you're a fifth-year senior and you haven't played until now or transferred before now, you must not be a top echelon quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong. And congratulations to Boston Paul on his Ducks winning. I know that we had to talk him off the ledge a few times last night. And again, in all transparency, I picked Oregon to win the Big Ten. Agreed about Dante Moore being the best player on the field. Young quarterback showed poise in a hostile environment, great environment. With a lot of respect to it. Listen, Penn State's a great place to go play football. It's a great program. It's James Franklin that I have a problem with. Yeah, I did remember that. Thank you, Ralph. I don't know how Pitt did yesterday. Lars overrated, and the Lions wish they had. Listen, Bo Pribula played really well yesterday. You want to know who's going to move? And they won by what? 6? I don't know, 50. They didn't play anybody good. He's really good, but I'm going to tell you that Pavia from Vanderbilt is going to sneak up this Heisman race. 6 touchdowns, I believe, yesterday. Vanderbilt is the real deal. Missouri's good, too. Actually, I talked about Missouri is still in play in the SEC. Or early. It's early in the conference schedule, but Missouri's playing well. Vanderbilt's playing well. Ole Miss is playing well. A&M. Dare I think it's possible Georgia and Alabama both missed the playoff? It's early. It's early. That's an overreaction, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Just saying. But Pribula is really good, too. Listen, with Mateer's injury, the Heisman race opens up. He'd have been the prohibitive favorite if he continued to play like he was. He's going to miss more than 3 games. I think there's more to this injury than, and maybe I'm wrong, than Oklahoma is saying. You read between the lines and the lack of transparency about a time frame to come back. There's some wishful thinking about 3 weeks. I don't know. So I think your boy Pribula at Missouri. Watch Pavia start to get talked about. This kid is fun to watch. He's like 5'0". A lot of fun. SC results this week can give credence to your argument the hierarchy in the league that used to rule Bama, Georgia, LSU. LSU's still good. Their offense is not good, though. Are now defanged by the NIL, and there's indeed mediocrity in the college game. It's here, y'all. There is still great transparency in the NIL. Maybe not in the SEC. Other places there are. Look at Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy gets fired, and part of the reason, and Mike Gundy was in a championship game 2 years ago. Yeah, the Big 12 championship game. They don't spend. Their big donors are dead. They spent $7 million in the NIL over the last 3 years. Oregon, for instance, who they got blown out, and there was a big story that week, had spent 41 in the same time period. So there's a big transparency. But when you get to the SEC, I think to Michael's point, I do think, and I don't know if it's mediocrity necessarily. Just because Georgia and Bama are down, I don't necessarily think the league is mediocre all of a sudden. I think the Big Ten's better. Blasphemy, I know, for all you SEC elitists. Big Ten's good, really good. SEC is not as good as we think, but they'll get better. But there is, I would call it parity more than mediocrity in my mind, Michael. And again, that's just me. As Paul pointed out to me last night, everybody gets an opinion. They do. LSU, by the way, their defense is good, but when you score 15 points against that Mississippi defense, you're not doing very good. Arkansas moved the ball up and down the field last week and lost to Ole Miss. They gave up a boatload of yards. And that'll be Ole Miss's downfall again this year, that defense. Vandy, Mississippi State in the conversation as contenders. There you go. Listen, Mississippi State, they did lose yesterday in a heartbreaker to Tennessee. They led this game for a good portion of the day. But Mississippi State's one of the most improved teams in the country. I think Arizona State was ranked 12 or 13 when they came in there to Starksville a couple of weeks ago, and they beat them. Arizona State with a nice comeback win the other night. They looked like they were going to get blown out of the building by TCU, and they were able to right the ship. They got a good quarterback, wide receiver combination. That team, don't count them out in the Big 12. They had a rough start to this, a bumpy start to the season. Don't count them out of the Big 12 race just yet. And we'll get into all this in more detail on Wednesday for sure. Yeah, Louisville did beat Pittsburgh yesterday. Thanks for pointing that out, Michael. That's one score that I had not kind of got my head around. It's so many scores on a Sunday morning to try to get my head around, and there's a few games I focus on. And by the way, the military academy results that I like to give. Army gets blown out Thursday night, I think, or Friday night against East Carolina. Navy wins. Navy still, again, it's going to be tough for them. They got to win the American, but still one of the 6 or 7 teams with a chance at that group of 5 playoff pick. They got to win their conference, first of all. And Air Force loses a tough game to Hawaii yesterday as well. At home, I believe. And locally, Syracuse gets demolished by Duke at home. Not a good look for Fran Brown's team. Yeah, Rick, it's funny. I agree 100%. They're playing at home. They're playing a team that had not scored any points in the second half. So they'd shut down Alabama's offense pretty good, or Alabama shut themselves down. I don't know. And this is your coach. We all, seem to genuflect at the alter Kirby Smart the last decade, and maybe we should. And I'm often okay with teams that play to win games. But I don't know that not kicking the tying field goal there and extending that game was the best move there. I know it's 4th and 1. not great execution. Again, I'm going to stand by and again, I thought they'd get better, but this is where you should start to get better. It's week 4. It's not week 2. I just don't think Georgia is that good. If you remember before the season, I had said I thought Georgia might be in for a long season. No disrespect to them. I'll tell you that Kirby Smart and Georgia's got one of the top programs in college football for the last decade for sure. And will be again. But I just thought this was a season where they'd lost so many players the last three years, the last 3 drafts, that it was finally going to take its toll, and they might miss the playoff. They could possibly fall out of the top 25. That was when I was looking for a team to fall out of the top 25, and it turned out to be Clemson. Almost Notre Dame. Or fall, from the top 10. So, I mean, it's your coach. I mean, you disagree? Kirby's, listen, he's smarter than we are. He's got 2 national championships. I had picked him to win that 3rd one in a row, if you remember. So I don't just go looking to bash Georgia. I think that's clear. So I think that my comments about Georgia are fairly unbiased. I don't have a preset notion to root against Georgia. I've made a lot of money betting Georgia over the last 10 years. But I think I'm not, so I don't know what to take away from that game. Big Ten is definitely better, Danny. You're right there. I mean, you look at I think it's deeper. Again, the SEC is deep with good teams. But I think the Big Ten's better. I mean, Indiana is much better than we thought. They followed up. Listen, they had a tough game in Iowa, but Iowa's got a really good defense. It's a tough place to play. They come away with a win. That's all you can hope for. But the team they beat by 60 the other day beats USC, and that was a trap game, I got to believe. There's no way USC, Illinois is not 50 points worse than Indiana. That game just snowballed, and they were beating every facet of the game. And USC should not have been a 6.5 point favorite in that game. Illinois comes back and wins a good home victory. And I think USC's good. I think there's some good teams in the Big Ten, and it's as deep and it's better at the top than the SEC right now. Unfortunately, Penn State, who's probably as good or better than all these SEC teams, Ohio State, you have to say, is for the moment. Oregon, I would say, is better than the top of the SEC. Penn State would be if it wasn't for their coach. Just my opinion. Parity, yes, is a better word than mediocrity. You're welcome, Michael. You could continue to use mediocrity. I mean, again, I see a lot of good football, though. I mean, I don't think I'm seeing a lot of bad football being played. That would be mediocrity, right? But the parity where pretty much anybody can beat anybody. I mean, what was the last time the big game next week? And I wouldn't doubt game day is going to be in at Alabama next week for Vanderbilt, Alabama. One of the biggest games on the schedule next week. God, I love that team. Is fun to watch. Fun to root for. LSU, Kelly enough said. Kelly enough said. Shake Brian and Chip up, and you get the same thing. Brian's had I don't know. They are the same guy, I guess. I guess I can't really comment. Make a comment that they're not. But Brian Kelly's an offensive football coach. That team has had a prolific offense for the last, since he got there for sure, and certainly prior. You score 15 points against this. This is not, listen, Ole Miss is a good football team, not a good defensive football team. They're terrible. Can't score 15 points in that game. There's our boy Flo. How are you, Flo? Only a few more weeks and you get home. It's going to be great to have you back. We thank you. Thank you for your service and stay safe these last few weeks. Look forward to having you back and look forward to you and Ken getting the podcast back up regularly. Good stuff on Bottom Line Sports. Check them out. I try to share their show now and again. There haven't been a lot of shows to share, but I try to share their show when I can. I told you my Red Raiders are coming. Listen, they're playing well. You spent $55 million. You got to get something for your money. They got a good coach. Spent a lot of money. What was their result yesterday? Did they play yesterday? Hold on. No, they didn't play. I guess maybe we didn't talk yesterday after the Utah game, right? But listen, a great game in Utah last week, Flo. And your next game's against Houston. Let's see. Let me look at Texas Tech's schedule the rest of the way. You're going to beat Houston. I don't think that's a really good football team. Kansas, you got a home. Kansas is going to score some points on you, but I think you'll beat them. Arizona State, I think you're going to lose that game. Oklahoma State, Kansas State ought to be easy. Oh, shoot. I wanted to see something. I can't do it that way. BYU, tough game, but you got them at home. UCF and West Virginia you should win. You might only have one loss on that schedule. Maybe two. Big 12 is going to be a very interesting race. Might come down to that Arizona State Texas Tech game. Hello, Neil. Love to see the Big 12 carpetbaggers lose. Shame Penn State could not win. Why is Penn State not carpet? Well, I guess they were an independent. Is it a shame? I'm not really sure. And how is this? What I'm kind of confused by the last comment. Neil, can you help me out? Love to see the big Pac-12 carpetbaggers lose. I'm assuming that's one comment. Okay, that's fair. Just make sure you root against all the other carpetbaggers, because there's a lot of them across the country. I mean, we're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of carpetbaggers at this point. Not just in the Power Four conferences either. By the way, congratulations to your South Carolina Gamecocks on rebounding with a nice win yesterday. So anyway, the rest of this, shame Penn State could not win. Listen, they had their chances. They came back. And the fact is, James Franklin is now 4-21 against top 10 teams. You can dice and spin that any way you want. That's bad. And something that Penn State fans are going to have to live with for a long time because they're not buying them out of this contract. It's still probably $60+ million. So I don't understand, based on those two comments, what's the last thing? NCAA should never let this happen. What? The carpetbagging? They don't have any power. The NCAA has been powerless for decades. So give me a little, if you can give me some clarification, because I'm not really sure what we're talking about there. B. Kelly was amazing in Central Michigan. That's good. A wonderful coach. I do sense a sarcasm. Because if it wasn't sarcasm, we'd have to have a different conversation, right? Listen, he had some success at Notre Dame. Remember, Notre Dame had fallen. The crest had fallen at Notre Dame pretty good before Brian Kelly got there. And for the most part, he had a really successful run, other than not winning a national championship. But neither is any of the other coaches since 1988. So, Brian Kelly had a decent run at Notre Dame without winning the ultimate award. Just never been a fan. I mean, he always carries himself like he's the freaking smartest guy in the room. There, we're in an off weekend. Could be interesting. Listen, your team has got as good a chance as anybody in that Big 12 flow. I can't believe we're watching the NFL in Dublin, Ireland. Not a fan of out-of-the-country games. I'm not either, Danny. And as I mentioned earlier, there's more coming. They're going to Australia next year. They're going to go to Asia, I think, the year after. And when they go to 18 games, which is probably right around the corner, Roger Goodell wants to see 16 international games a year. And I heard him, and I don't know if they can make this work logistically. With those 16 games. He wants to see everybody play an international game. First of all, these games are not fair to on many levels. Yeah, you want to expand to Europe, whatever. The thought, people thinking we're going to expand to Europe and have a division over there or whatever. That's never going to work. Travel's not going to work. MLB, NFL, it's just not going to work. Second of all, that's going to fail. So second of all, you're sending teams over there. And when you do that, you cost them a home game. So you hurt them. You're both teams having to play on a neutral field. You hurt the fans because they don't get to go see a game, and I'm hoping they don't charge them for these games. Like I'm expected for a home game to travel to Dublin. I would hope you're only having to pay, for 8 or 9 home games, whatever it might be. Field conditions aren't optimal. I don't like these international games. They're not, again, call me an ugly American. Call Danny an ugly American if you want. But I want my game played here. I don't want my team playing in Germany. Especially, and again, you got all the security. You got all kinds of you got so many factors that cause distractions in this type of thing, right? The travel, the security. I don't know if Jack was right, but he talked about how Aaron Rodgers was upset that the Steelers didn't go to Europe sooner so he could sightsee. Another thing for him to be upset about. Carson Wentz is the best quarterback on the field this week in Ireland. Rick Sherlock, the big Vikings fan, go Skol. I like your Vikings today. Sorry. Houston looked horrible against a weak Ohio State Beaver team. Agreed. Expected the Cougars to be way better. The Cougars have fallen off a bit from where they were 2-3 years ago. New program, new head coach. And they have not fared well since they moved to the Big 12. In football. Basketball, they've been fine. Interesting, too. I didn't bring this up earlier, too, but that's another thing. The surprise resignation, which is kind of interesting, the timing, of Bruce Pearl at Auburn. Bruce Pearl's a very polarizing figure. People love him. People hate him. Great coach. Been very successful. But his son, I didn't know he was named the coach in waiting, but apparently he was. But if he wasn't, Bruce Pearl's timing made it made sure that his son would get this job because there's 6 weeks until the season starts. If he'd done this after last season, they may have had a nationwide search for a head coach, and his kid doesn't get the job. His son, by the way, he's never coached on any level and was selling insurance or something until 5 years ago. What do you got here, Neil? The Western teams don't belong in the Big Ten. And Boyer, 2 Accountants, Inc. What is... Well, again, we all know. I agree with you 100%. And by the way, one reason I'd love to see, and we talk about this from time to time on the college football huddle, and we'll talk about a lot more, that there will be a super league at some point. I think we talked about it. Michael and I did a little bit during the last week's show. There will be a super conference one day. I don't know whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. There will be. My gut says within the next 10 years, where it's 48 teams, 60, whatever it is. And it will be, that may be the only way to get back to more regional football, right? Because if they go to 48 teams, let's say 48 teams, it doesn't matter the number. It will be at least 48 teams. They'll go to conferences or divisions, if you will, similar to the NFL. So you'll have teams playing in the West, teams playing in the East, teams playing in the Southeast, teams playing in the Midwest. And you'll get more regional rivalries back, maybe even new ones. But no, who cares about UCLA coming to Rutgers or Rutgers going to USC? Should that be happening? I mean, forget about football. What about the freaking the field hockey teams? But from a football standpoint and from a financial standpoint, and when I say financial, this is where we start talking about TV and the networks, right? Fox or the TV partners of the Big Ten in general love this because they can have games, they can have Big Ten games from noon until midnight. The rest of us know it's BS. I'm not sure what the accountant part of it was the deal. I'm a little slow on the uptake. That abscess may have seeped into my brain a little bit this morning. The landscape has changed long since the days of moves have not been cool. Again, Nebraska, I look back at this, by the way, and we had a long period when I was growing up right until 2012, whenever Nebraska left the Big 12, which was the Big 8 for the Big 10. But I don't like it. I hate all this realignment. But there's been realignment right through the history of college football. If you go and look at the history, the Pac-12, for instance, 125-year history. But we had teams that carpetbagged to the Big 12. Right? I mean, for the longest time, it was UCLA, USC, Cal, Oregon State, and maybe Washington. But the Arizona schools both came in. Then later on, Utah came in. Colorado was in for a while. We've seen a lot of this. You go back even further into the 40s and 50s, and teams were jumping around conferences. Missouri in and out of the Big 8. So it's now become prolific, but it's happened for a long time. I don't like it. Never did like it. Pac-12 should not been allowed to go to the ACC or the Big Ten, and Texas should have stayed in the Big 12 too. But I don't listen. Well, first of all, don't forget Texas. Texas helped blow up the Southwest Conference. How about we just go back further? Forget about Texas and forget about these Pac-12 teams. Texas A&M helped blow up the Southwest Conference, which was a historic football conference 20 years ago. Well, more maybe. Right? And the NCAA can't. The NCAA has no authority. And I'm not saying, and Neil, I'm not saying that I'm for these moves. I hate them. And you know who really gets screwed in all this? The fans. You think the fans at Cal and Stanford wanted to go play in the ACC, but they had no choice. What were they going to do? Now, they could have stayed and waited it out like Oregon State and Washington State did. They could have. It only took a year. Well, 2 years, I guess it'll be playing before there's a new Pac-12 without without the real gravitas of the old Pac-12. I mean, it's going to be nice to see it back, but still, it's not going to be the same with the schools we're talking about playing in there. There's some good teams from the Mountain West, but are there carpetbaggers too? They left the Mountain West hanging. So everybody's complicit in this whole thing. But if I was Stanford, to your point about the ACC schools, or the Pac-12 teams that went to the ACC, specifically Cal and Stanford, they should have waited. They should have waited, and they would have been part of the new Pac-12. But the landscape, as Michael said, it's just sad. Vikings just fumbled. Steelers returned it for a touchdown. Got to take care of the football. Who fumbled? Carson Wentz? I got to see if I can get this on my TV. I forgot about the game starting already. That game must have just started. Would they fumble a kickoff? Let's see. Where are we? What's it on? NFL Network. There we go. All right, we're in commercial. So anyway, thank you for the update, Danny. The NFL, if the NFL wasn't a monster and dominated and the dominant league in the U.S., by the way, college football is not that far behind, but you're right. College football is too. I think college football is the second most attended sporting event in the U.S., and it's ahead of the NFL. If the NFL wasn't a monster and wasn't a dominant league in the U.S., he would understand. But they bank more money than Apple plus Amazon plus Keith Engle combined. There's no need to water down the game to try to share it with other audiences. Well, here's the thing. They want to expand to Europe. That's what this is all about. Well, it's about multiple things. It's about selling. And you have to remember, this is always a big factor in all these decisions. Selling merchandise. Don't forget. You think we have throwback uniforms because they want to celebrate these teams' history? No, they want to sell more uniforms, right? You think, and it's not the NFL, but you think they wear alternative uniforms? The 49ers wear black sometimes. Where does that fall in their color scheme? Because they can sell more jerseys. So they get a chance to go to Ireland and sell a bunch of jerseys. Not just Vikings and Steelers, but others. But again, I think the end game has always been to try to expand to Europe, which will never work logistically. Never. And again, I guess we're ugly Americans. Love putting in, hello, Chris F. Grave, our Canadian correspondent, is with us this morning. Love putting an easy street nickel on Notre Dame for the rest of the season. Listen, Notre Dame needs to win out, which I think they will. And quite frankly, the better USC and Arkansas does, and NC State, I guess, outside of the Notre Dame games, the better for Notre Dame. But Notre Dame needs to win out. And I said on College Football Show, I said on the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook, they need style points as well. So you're going to see several of these games 56-13 or whatever the heck the score was. So it's a great point. I'll be on Notre Dame a lot the next 8 weeks or whatever it is. 2-2 now they are. They win out, they're going to be in a playoff. Play under review. Well, you're right. I guess Pittsburgh got the ball, but not the touchdown, eh? Neil says NFL should stay in the U.S., send Keegan Bradley to another country. I didn't mention that in my opening remarks. I talked to some Ryder Cup stuff. Neil, I don't know if you're Jesus. Sorry about that. I don't know if you're with us, but I had a couple of takeaways, right? The U.S. has not played horribly. You can blame Keegan Bradley, some of the matchups and putting the same matchups together, which he didn't. In the morning, I think he did. The same groupings were together, which, again, I might have shook them up a little bit. But in the afternoon, he got desperate, put DeChambeau with Scheffler. That didn't work out. Scheffler hasn't won anything yet. But here's the thing. I don't care who the captain was. And by the way, he should have named himself as one of the captain's picks, in my mind. I don't think the U.S. has played as badly as it might appear because the Euros have shot lights freaking out. Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose have made so many big shots, so many big putts, among others. Fleetwood has been unconscious. And I have to tell you, I'm sorry, I'm an upstate New Yorker. I'm not a Long Islander. And these people aren't from Long Island. I'm sorry, I need to back up a second. A lot of these fans are from all over the country. But the crowd behavior at this tournament is abhorrent. I am so... And again, you can go there, and we know that there's going to be a bias, and you're going to root for the U.S., and you're going to root against the Euros. But some of the nonsense that's going on, disrupting a player in his backswing and his preparation to play golf, there's no decorum here at all. I'm embarrassed, quite frankly, as a New Yorker and as a golf fan and as a U.S. golf fan. I'm embarrassed for the behavior of these crowds. Yeah, the players themselves had a little dust up in the DeChambeau, Scheffler, Rose, and who was Rose playing with? It was just a minor little thing. They had a little dust up. That stuff happens. You're going to have that. And I like that a little bit, that animosity with the players a little bit. I like it when it comes in. But the fans should not be involved other than making a lot of freaking noise. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get on Rory for telling people to shut the F up. Well, they should. You can go there and be a fanatic without stepping over the line. And we do that everywhere today. I've talked about this a lot. Paying your money to get into these events doesn't give you the right to do anything you want to do. Who's out here today that's not saying anything? Jim Graziano. How are you, Jim? Good to see you. Frank Laterzo. Making a lot of money on Ohio State again, are you? Hates Ohio State. Bets him every week. Jern, how are you? Bruce Pearl had a legacy of championships at Southern Indiana. He coached at Wisconsin Green Bay, too, didn't he? I think he coached at Wisconsin Green Bay before he went to Tennessee, if I remember. He got suspended for infractions that today wouldn't be a big deal, by the way, at Tennessee. And he was very, very, very successful there. Not as successful, I think, as Auburn, but Auburn's been to 2 Final Fours in its history. Guess who took them to both? And the year they didn't play in 2020 might have been his best team. The year the NCAA tournament was canceled. He's a great coach. The dude is he's a good coach and a program builder. Very good. I agree 100%. I don't know. There's a lot of talk that Bruce Pearl is going to run for Tommy Tuberville's Senate seat. Tuberville is going to be running for governor of Alabama. And that Senate seat is going to be open. There's been a lot of talk that that Bruce Pearl will be interested in running for that seat. One of my favorite students ever plays field hockey in college. She definitely doesn't benefit from all the NIL BS, just saying. Well, no. There's money being bandied about in some of these programs. Field hockey, I doubt it, right? But there's certainly a huge disparity between, say, college basketball players, college basketball players, baseball players, probably to a much lesser extent, and then minimal for all these other sports. And now you've got to travel across the country to play field hockey. And I wasn't disparaging field hockey players, by the way. Swanee, there you go. There's a good one. Swanee State. Swanee University, sorry, was a charter member of the SEC. There's a lot. There's been tons of movement in the NCAA in the 100 years or so more than that. It's been around 150 years, probably. 3-0 Vikings. CFL making rule changes to make it more like the NFL season ticket owners. I think there's some punctuation missing. CFL making rule changes to make it more like this NFL season. Ticket owners vow to boycott games or show up in black clothing. What are the changes? Are they taking away the rouge? Are they eliminating you can have a guy running forward progress or moving forward at the snap? Listen, I don't mind CFL football a little bit. I used to watch more of it. I haven't watched a lot of it in years, quite frankly. But years ago, when Doug Flutie was there, I watched a lot of it. When Warren Moon was there, and that's like forever, that was like a lifetime ago, I would watch CFL in the summertime. I remember guys like Vince Ferragamo going up there and playing. Ricky Williams went there and played, if you remember. It's not a bad product. I'd like to know what changes. How are they making it more like the NFL? This show exemplifies the program's name, Stream of Consciousness. That was done purposely, by the way. Love it and grateful for you giving it to us. So you're welcome, Michael. I'm humbled. It's funny. I played around with this particular show's format for a while when I started. Remember, when I started doing this podcast, I was doing one interview a week on Friday mornings. That's how I started doing this. And then one Sunday, I was outside watching a Yankee game or something after a month of doing just Friday mornings. And I said, I'm going to go up and go live for a while and just ramble. And it turned out into this show. I tried in the very beginning to have it more structured, if you will. I'd go from, say this time of year, we'd go from college football to NFL to MLB and we'd stay on those topics all day. And one day, quite frankly, it happened, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago. I think that's when I retitled it Stream of Consciousness, quite frankly, because I used to talk about that. I just wasn't prepared. I didn't feel well, and I think I had COVID, quite frankly. It was an October show where I had COVID, and I'd been sick all week, and I hadn't hardly paid attention to anything. I just came on and said, it's your show. You guys tell me what you want to talk about. And the Stream of Consciousness just came to life that day. And I love this show. This is my favorite show to do in a week. I do a lot of shows. I guest on shows, round table on 2 or 3 different shows during the course of the week. I'm on for like 14 hours a week now. This is my favorite couple hours of the week. I always will be. And this show will continue until I don't, maybe I expire. Oh, excuse me. Which hopefully is about, 40 years from now. So imagine 39 years from now, 104-year-old Keith out here rambling on about absolutely nothing. My mind's gone now. Imagine what's going to happen then. Europeans have been better. They've been. I don't hate. Again, there's a difference between hating and rooting against them. There's no real villains here, right? There's no Ian Poulter. He was a villain. There's no villain. Why would Rory be a villain? Here's the thing. Most of the European players live here. This is a horrible country, right? This place is going to hell. But all these guys from all these European countries, they live here. Not all of them. But there's always going to be that animosity. Get them some credit, Neil. That's not fair. And the Europeans don't make me stick up for the Europeans. I don't want to do this. Tee to green, I think the U.S. has played really well. They have not made their putts. And they have to birdie to have holes. I think the golf's been pretty good overall, and I don't think you're being fair to the Europeans saying they're lucky. Please. You don't think those are great golfers? I mean, other than and Scotty Scheffler hasn't won. Scotty Scheffler's the best player in the world. We can agree on that, right? And in this format, it's not just being the best player. In the first 2 days, you have to put guys together who play well. And the Europeans just mesh better than the U.S. guys. They just do. Give them some credit. That to me, that's not fair. You're entitled to that opinion. Have they gotten some bounces? Sure. But, here's the thing about luck that I will always tell you. And I've always gone by the axiom that, luck is the residue of good design. And you make your own luck in life. Just me. They played better than just getting every favorable bounce. The old saying, drive for show and putt for dough. Definitely. 100%. And again, Neil, I'm not telling you they haven't had some breaks. They have, but still. 11.5 to 4.5, that many breaks? They're playing really good golf. I'm really not willing to blame Keegan Bradley a lot. I think any U.S. captain was going to get steamrolled here. If the Europeans played like this. And by the way, you have to give them a lot of credit for playing under some heavy duress. You see the nonsense that Rory and not Nick Lowry, Shane Lowry went through yesterday? That's bullshit. Grow up or don't go to sporting events. Please. That's a very good timing for that quote. There's Michael Gott from the UK. How are you, Michael? Us ugly Americans here. Good to have you with us, my friend. We got to look at the poll, the pools yet, don't we? What's people's favorite Super Bowl? I got two I hate. I don't remember the numbers anymore, quite frankly, but my favorite Super Bowl will always be Super Bowl. Well, Super Bowl 20 was, even though I got killed, it was the Patriots' first Super Bowl, so I liked it. They got killed. But 2001, Patriots and Rams, number one. Patriots and Falcons, number two. You can probably figure out the ones I don't like. So Super Bowl 32, the first win with Denver. That's a good one. It's very few fan bases that get headlines over the great fans. 3% of the Ryder Cup fans didn't get. That's true. But again, that 3% of anything, right, can spoil the meal. If 3% of the ingredients I put into a meal are spoiled, my meal is spoiled. So, And again, especially when you're not talking about hundreds of thousands of people, those 3% stand out a whole lot more on a golf course than they do in a football stadium, right? And I'm sorry, it's unconscionable to act that way in public. I'm sure your parents are very proud of you, or your grandparents, or whoever it is that, we don't, again, present company except not included here. Steelers scored 7-3. We just don't raise people to be very good adults. My wife did a tremendous job. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have done a tremendous job. But as a rule, we teach kids to be self-absorbed, immediate gratification, say whatever you want, no consequences. Sad. It's sad. For a golfer to have to stand around and tell people to shut the F up. Isaac Canseco bulking up big time for his home run derby with his brother Jose, currently about 30 pounds heavier. When is this and where can I watch it? Disagree with NFL world expansion. For me, it's America's game. I think we talked about this, right, Michael? I love watching the game and the game coming into my living room from a cold Kansas City to a warm Miami. That culture is special for me. I love how you give us a platform to jump off of. So awesome to have a community of fanatics that just want to share, vent, talk, comment. Listen, everybody's free to have their own thoughts here. When I lash back, so I disagree with Neil's comment, right, about, and this could go to anybody. I said it to Paul, I think, last night. I say it here all the time. I don't want anybody, don't ever take offense when I shoot you down. That's my opinion. So if my opinion doesn't jive with yours, I'm going to tell you that that's, again, otherwise, there's no sense of us just coming here and singing Kumbaya, right? So Neil thinks that, the Europeans have gotten every favorable bounce, and that's why they're winning. That's fair. And I'll tell you why I think that's wrong and don't think it's fair. That's what this show's for. But I want people to come with these opinions, because especially when they don't jive with mine, because it's a better podcast. Sorry, you got to look at this thing. This thing was like a second head yesterday, by the way. It looked like my face was like swelled out to here Friday night. Anyway, where was it? Speaking of his stream of consciousness. So also have a community of fanatics that just want to share, vent, talk, comment about anything that is on their minds. Hopefully unique and wonderful. Good. Excellent. That's what it's for. Chris says the late Eric Shaw's album, Holy Night, is on YouTube. Tremendous jazz. I didn't know he was a jazz musician. Eric Shaw was a troubled soul. Remember, Eric Shaw gave up Pete Rose's record-breaking hit. And he was a good major league pitcher, but just he had some issues. Bad breaks are a result of not giving yourself a better opportunity leading up to the moment immediately prior to the bad break. I agree. It's all related. It's all related. John Elway win with Denver, I meant. Well, that was I think that was their first victory. So I did remember that. That was a great Super Bowl, actually. What's going on with you? There you go. Now you got some European soccer talk. I want to get into the pools. A lot of comments. Good stuff, guys. Athletes still making beer, booze, or wine. Wayne Gretzky has a 99 wine. I've had Wayne Gretzky's wine. It's actually not so bad. Ryan Whitley makes pink liqueur, which I don't think I'll be trying anytime soon. Chris Phillips, former Ottawa Senator, makes his own Big Rig Lager beer. That I would like to get my hands on and give it a try. I don't want to eat a spoiled meal. Nice analogy. I don't know. Oh, no, I don't want to go there. We don't need, again, it's just, again, sports, I say this all the time. Sports is a microcosm of society. You see how people act in sporting events? It's a microcosm of how they act in real life. It's sad. Linda, here. You didn't. Linda had to go there. Mac must have been whispering in your ear, Linda. Good morning, by the way, Linda. Love to have you with us. Hope you're doing well. Are you still in Connecticut? But Mac whispers in the ears. Make sure you mention 2008 and 2012. Thank you, Linda. And thank you for the congratulations. For those of you, I got a big audience right now, so good live audience. Love it. You guys are out there listening. Don't hesitate to comment. I'm not going to Amsterdam today for football, too, so I'll probably go right till 11 o'clock this morning. But thank you for the congratulations on the new baby. Baby Emma Jane Maxwell came into the world Thursday morning, I think at 5:06 a.m. 6.2, 6 pounds, 2 ounces, 20 inches long. And she's a beautiful, beautiful girl. If you look on my personal Facebook page, you can see a few pictures of the new loving family and her sister Scarlett holding her, and I got to hold her for a couple hours yesterday, and it was really a lot of fun. My favorite song is a moment that I can't get out of my head, American Pie and Don McLean. It's a very popular song. If you get the long version in your head, though, Michael, it eats up your whole day. Fernando Valenzuela won many a different state's heart. He reinvented himself several times in San Diego with the Cardinals, with the Orioles. He wasn't the same pitcher he was with the Dodgers, though. But good for a long time. The problem was, Fernando was probably like 50 when he retired, because they said he was 18 when he got here. He was probably 25. 14-3 now? Oh. Carson Wentz needs to get going. Good show earlier, Keith. Now keep that same energy on here. Thank you, Brian. You guys wore me out for an hour. I either get warmed up or worn out. I don't know which. Brian talking about the big football show on National Streaming Sports. Make sure you check that out. I'm on for an hour. I used to be able to share it back in the old days when I first started doing Sunday morning shows with Mac, and I'd come on before I started my show. I could share that show, let it keep streaming so people could, if they had two computers, they could have them both on if they wanted, and start my show. Well, now Facebook won't allow them to play simultaneously. So unfortunately, before I jump off of that show, I've got to end the stream. So if you guys ever are watching and you get cut off in the middle of a conversation, I apologize if you're watching from my platform. But the only way I can go and get my show started correctly. Rick Sherlock got the kiss of death when Keith Engle placed his liking of the Vikings today. Yeah. As soon as I said Carson Wentz was the best quarterback on the field, you know that, you'd probably see vintage Aaron Rodgers today. Just a score update. There we go. 14-3. Good morning to Linda again. We're happy to see Linda with us always. Still in Connecticut, traveling to Minneapolis the end of the upcoming week. Traveling or moving? We do hope you're doing well, Linda. We think about you a lot, and we're so happy that you stay in touch with us and through the shows. It's really it's a good feeling, and I hope it is for you as well. Let me see if I can get through a couple more of these comments and catch up a little bit. And then I want to get to, I want to review the college pool and then do my picks for the NFL real quick. Michael Dighton Edwards, I don't rate the Chelsea head coach really. I was at Eland Road, if I say that right, yesterday for my team, Leeds United 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Michael, I'm sure that was good for the other Michael. Absolutely, sports a microcosm of society and the way we are all trending. Well, ugh. Hey, all peace, love, and be kind to one another. That's all we have to do. Come here and fight with me. Respect whatever team you support and whatever take you have. It all leads to this wonderful community. Well, we try. Oh, that's Linda's comment again. Go Detroit Lions. A little plug for Brian's Detroit Lions. Alex, I'm not even going to try. Loves his former Blue Jays in Atlanta. Just a few names who have donned the Braves jersey: Jose Bautista, Josh Johnson, Kevin Pillar, Ryan Gomes, and here comes Max Manawa. Big games. Facebook, I don't know what that. I have no idea what that meant. Facebook is my equivalent of how my streaming services cuts me off watching my game. I'm sorry. Lindy equals respect. I'm going to assume that's from Michael God. I'm not really sure. Well, we got a minute. You guys can put some more comments up because we're not going to be done for a little bit. Hopefully we got more to talk about. Baseball. Definitely we get into the baseball. Dan, you got to have a comment on the Astros not making the playoffs for nearly 10 years. First time in nearly 10 years. Let's do the picks. Let me look at yesterday's stuff real quick, and we'll look at the leaders. It ain't pretty. I can tell you that right now. A little slow on the what the hell's going on? We're a little slow loading up here. There we go. All right. So yesterday's top scorers. Michael with 6 and a generic ESPN fan with 6 were the leaders. A bunch of us had 5. Not a great day. All the way down to 2. I will not mention who had 2. In fact, TGI Sports Talk, I was getting all over Brian. I only had 3 winners yesterday. So I didn't do much better. As far as leaders for the year, Boomer Sooners at 28. Neil and Beamer Ball with 27. Michael and J-Train tied at 26. A bunch of us tied at 24, and a bunch of others tied at 23. And Scott Kobe, he did have 5 this week, so he finished second. Scott, who was on all of our cases that he didn't get in the pool because he didn't want to embarrass us, has not really brought it the last couple of weeks. So just saying. Here's the NFL pool, and we'll give you the leaders before I give you my picks. And you guys can feel free to put up any comments you want to put up right now, and we'll catch up on those when I can get back to them. Come on. The internet's slow today. What can I talk about while we're not talking about this? The rankings out yet? Nope. Come on. You know, I pay $1 for the fastest internet you can possibly get. And this is what I get. You know, it is so freaking frustrating. I don't mind. I'm okay paying top dollar for anything, right? Just give me what I pay for. I shouldn't have this problem ever. But I can't get in right now. I can't get into, maybe it's ESPN, and maybe I shouldn't be yelling at my internet provider, but oh, there we go. All right, so bear with me a second while I see if I can pull this up. We got to get in here. Hold on. All games. I still got to get to I got to get to a different page. Probably going to take freaking forever. What else can we talk about while I'm not here? October coming up. We got no scheduling problems. November, we will do this show. I'll be away for 3 Sundays. We're going away on a cruise for 2 weeks. Going to spend a couple days in Florida with my brother and sister-in-law. So we'll be away, but we'll do this show. The other shows will be a little more problematic. So we'll talk about that as we get closer. I think we leave on the 8th of November, I believe. So we still got 5 or 6 weeks to worry about that. We're almost loaded up here. Thank you, ESPN. This has been very painful. Well, I want to review your picks, but I'm not being allowed to, so. Oh, here we go. All right, so here we go. Are you ready? Here's the leaders. Poppy's picks. Kenny Gifford, who we don't see on Sunday mornings anymore, and we miss him, is leading with 37. We got a generic ESPNer at 36. Could be the same one from the college pool. Don't know. Rick is at 36. The Sun God, don't remember who that is, 35. Anthony is at 34. Sonia's at 33. Bo's at 33. TGI Sports Talk, yours truly at 33. Fantasy World Peace at 33. 32, and bringing up the rear are Scooby's Will Suck Again. I think that's Scott Scobie. Kobe. Scott Kobe. Boston Paul's at 31, and J-Train is at 30. Not good. I will try to do the picks. We'll see how long it takes to get to that page. Good grief, man. What do you think? It is... Brian, congratulations, by the way, to your Tigers making it to the playoffs. Could still win the division. I don't know whether it really matters. I want to know who the Yankees are throwing today, by the way. Speaking of which, who are the Yankees throwing out there today? They're going to pitch Sheetler today to try to win the division and hope the Blue Jays lose. Blue Jays have Tampa Bay at home. They've won 3 in a row. The Yankees have won 7 in a row. Still trying to get to the page to do my picks. Maybe we won't do them. What do we got here? Saw that. Sorry, Linda. Sorry. At Mac. We all miss Mac. Mac was our was the leader in national streaming sports. We had a lot of fun through the years with Mac. First guy I ever did a show with outside of mine was with Mac and Jack. I need to stop watching College Game Day and switch my picks. When 0-3 with the switches, I don't do it. I put my picks in before they do their picks, just to make sure that I see that. Lunch is just traveling for now. Good morning to Danny. I'll always be with all of you. We appreciate that. Mac found an amazing group of people with all of you and those that made the network grow and those who kept his dream alive. Well, we were happy to be a small part of that, and wish you nothing but the best, Linda. And we hope you stay connected with the shows. And we love having you stop in and say hi, even if you bring up 2 of the worst days of my life. Truly wish you have a blessed day and wonderful week. Please support TGI Sports Talk and Keith anytime you can. Thank you. Let's make this community bigger and better than it is right now. When Pat LaFontaine debuted, the Islanders scored 15 goals and only 18 games. I don't think any rookie had broken that scoring production. I don't think so either. And by the way, Pat LaFontaine just had himself a little bit of a melting in a Cold War he had with the Rangers for years, and I believe he was inducted into their Hall of Fame here this last week. Here's my picks, all right? Good grief. Arizona Cardinals. That's who I took Thursday night. Good comeback. Lost on a last-minute field goal. I got the Vikings in this game. They're already down 14-3. I took the Commanders over the Atlanta Falcons. Listen, Atlanta has got issues. I'm telling you, and I will continue to tell you until I'm proven wrong, which I have not been yet. The people who are all over Michael Penix is the next best thing didn't realize that Michael Penix, who was a great college player, I loved him in college, his game was not going to, in my mind, just my mind, was not going to adapt very well to the NFL. His accuracy is not good enough. And I continue to tell you that Kirk Cousins, I could claim victory on this comment, I guess, because Kirk Cousins did replace him last week, but it was 30-0 and it's garbage time. Kirk Cousins will be the quarterback of this team, not due to injury, but due to performance. And that is getting close to happening. Even with Daniels out, McLaren out, I like the Commanders to be able to play. I think this defense is better than some people think. I think they find a way to get it done on the road. The Bills easily over the Saints. We don't even have to talk about that game. Same with the Lions. Lions have got their offense going. The Browns, their defense is really good. They did beat Green Bay last week, but Lions will win this game. Patriots and Panthers. Sorry, Sonia. The Panthers coming to New England. This is a game that Patriots have to win. They've already lost 2 games at home they should have won. If they were going to be 9-8, there were 2 games they should have won. The schedule gets much tougher later. I still think this team can rebound. This team has played well. Drake May is getting better week to week, but too many turnovers. This team outplayed the Steelers last week. The Steelers were not good last week. They outplayed them, but gave the game away. And, all that counts is the W. Not making any claim outside of the fact this team's getting better, got to eliminate the mistakes. I expect them to come back and play well today. The Chargers over the Giants. Jackson Dart gets to play. We didn't touch on this at all. Jackson Dart now taking over at quarterback for the Giants. I'm torn whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. This is Brian Daboll trying to save his job. But as I said before, when you're drafting what you want and you think is going to be your franchise quarterback, having a lamed up coach is not a good idea because he may put him in too soon. This guy, I'm not saying he's not ready to play. This team isn't ready for him to play. There's not enough weapons. There's not enough protection on the offensive line. And he's not going to be in a great position to succeed, I'm afraid. Chargers all the way. I'm going against the grain and taking Tampa Bay despite all their injuries on the offensive line. Mike Evans being out. I'm not sure if Goodwin's back this week or not. I think they find a way to run the ball or get the ball to Bucky Irvin enough. This team plays with a chip on its shoulder that their quarterback, I think, brings to the rest of the team. And they find ways to win. They've come back, and every win they've had this year has been a comeback win, and that instills a certain type of confidence in your team. And the Eagles feel like good teams find a way to win. I say that, right? They feel like a team stumbling and looking for a loss. I'll take the Buccaneers. Texans, I like to finally get off the win the schneid. I think the Texans are going to be our pick in the survivor pool this week, unless I get scared. I think I'm going to take the Texans in the survivor pool. The Rams, I'm going to take the Rams over the surprising Colts. Daniel Jones is playing really, really well, but I like the Rams at home. If that game was in Indianapolis, I'd go the other way. 49ers, Brock Purdy should be back. Mac Jones filled in pretty well for 2 games, but Purdy is healthy and back in the lineup. They're still banged up other places. Kittle's still out, but I like the 49ers to win at home against the okay Jacksonville Jaguars. The Ravens and the Chiefs. I want to take the Chiefs so bad. I'm not going to do it. These are 2 teams struggling. The loser here is going to find themselves in a precarious situation. But I like the Ravens on the road here to bounce back and win on the road. And I'm going to take the Raiders over the Bears only because they're at home. I think this young Bears team is going to have a little trouble maybe taking this act on the road. Caleb Williams, so much better than people want to give him credit for. Really good last week. Caleb Williams is going to be just fine and have a very nice NFL career. I'll take the Packers over the Cowboys. Not much to say. And in the broken windshield game of the week, the Jets will travel to Miami. Miami's got to win someplace, right? I'll take them. Denver against the Bengals. Two Monday night games that are going to be atrocious. I'll take the Broncos easily in this game. All right, what do we got? Love you, Keith. Grateful you get a vacation and time to enjoy life. We have 3 cruises booked right now. We usually take 2. Next year, likely to be 3. Right now, we have one out of New York to the Caribbean. We come back to Miami. That's on the Venezia. I think we're traveling Princess, I don't know, in February, somewhere to the Caribbean. And we just booked an Alaskan cruise for July, which is going to be a lot of fun. So we'll go to Seattle, spend a little time in Seattle on the front end, I think. And then it's like a 10-day cruise, and we'll have some fun. Always want to go to Alaska. Oh, the sun god is you. And the other one, if you ain't cheating, that's you. You're like the second whitest guy in America compared to me. You're not the sun god. So Danny's question is, in the best of all 3 seasons, will the home team be home for all games? If a third game is obviously, I know the game where the division champion, let's just check this out. I think you came up with this question last week. I'll get the answer right now. MLB playoff format. I know the division winner that has to play in a wild card round has all 3 games at home. Come on. Got to find the right mouse. Wild card. Third seeded division winner and 3 wild card teams. Best of 3 series with the highest seeded team hosting all 3 games. So there's your answer. That's what I thought. I just didn't want to give out bad information. All the lower seeded team, which the American League is still all up in the air, I think, will play on the road. I probably should have said this differently. The higher seeded team will play all 3 games at home, should they be necessary. Which I like, quite frankly. I mean, there has to be some penalty, if you will, or advantage, I guess, to the higher seeded teams. If you're going to let this many teams in the playoffs, you need to have a severe mountain to overcome, in my mind. And I think playing 3 games on the road is that. When the Vegas Golden Knights debuted, they were a playoff team. Their very first season, didn't they go to the Stanley Cup Finals? Their very first season? That's how you got to do it these days. When running a league, a business, gone should be the days of a band of misfits, cast-offs for an expansion team. Well, they're the poster child for that, Chris, for sure. Good stuff. All right, guys, we got about 23 minutes left-ish. Unless it gets quiet, we'll end sooner. But as I said, we didn't talk a lot of baseball, but the Astros out of the playoffs for the first time since 2016. That's big news. The games that mean something today, the Mets and the Reds playing for all the marbles. If the Reds win, they're in. The Mets need to win and have the Reds lose, and they would then go to play the Dodgers. The Yankees and Blue Jays, this one's big because the winner of this one wins the division and a bye. If you think the bye is important. Again, there's a mixed bag of feelings on whether that's important or not. I think the Yankees won. I think the Blue Jays won it. But the Yankees need the Blue Jays to lose because they hold the tiebreaker. Cleveland and Detroit. Brian, you can speak to this if you'd like. Do you try to win this game today? Obviously you're going to try to win the game. Is winning this game important? Does it really matter? Let's see. I guess it matters to where you play. Or does it? Let me look at the standings. I messed up all my research, my resources here. So let's just say the Tigers finished with 87 wins. Yeah, I guess they would go to the. Yeah, I guess that team would have to go play all their games at. That's interesting. The Tigers and Guardians could end up playing 3 games in this wild card series right after this. I don't know how the tiebreaker works if Cleveland or Detroit ends up at 88 with the Red Sox. Very interesting. So maybe this game is important, more important than I thought today. The Mariners have never been to the World Series. If you count the Crapstein, we're talking about 58 years now. If you're not counting what is that? Krappenstein. We're talking 58 years. Seattle has never been to a World Series. They might be the only team that's never been to a World Series, quite frankly. Everybody else, we've done this in the NFL recently. Is there anybody else? I don't think there is. As I go through the teams, they have all been. Even the Rockies have been to a World Series. So, yes, they're the last remaining MLB team, at least until Rob Manfred expands again like a knucklehead that he is, that has never been to a World Series. Where's Paul today? Anybody check on him? Is he okay? Stop it with the Vegas Knights. Obviously, they don't have to go through the growing pains of expansion teams of the past. Why? I don't really know. And again, Dan, you can explain it to me, or Chris. I don't really know why. Why was that any different? And I don't follow hockey expansion the way I have NFL or MLB. I mean, those teams, as far as I know, when and if, when the NFL expanded last, there was no built-in, and that's been a while, I guess. Vegas came into play there. I mean, I'm guessing they gave them some built-in advantages that other expansion teams in the NHL didn't have. But if I remember correctly, if I'm not wrong, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, throughout the history of expansion in the NHL, those teams have had an opportunity to be better sooner than others. If I go back to the late 60s, weren't the St. Louis Blues, pretty good right out of the gate, or second year maybe? Does hockey have some rules in their expansion drafts or building a team that, I know in MLB it's like impossible to win. NFL too. Although the NFL has had some teams that in their second year have played well. I think either Jacksonville or I think it was Carolina in their second or third year, they were in an NFC championship game. Jacksonville too. Vikings still on the plane. Is it still 14? I got the TV like 3 inches from me, and I'm not even looking over it because I'm invested in you guys. It looks like making Rodgers. It looks like making Rodgers look like an All-Pro today. Great. So it's a Jets all over again. Brian doesn't care. No matter where they go, they'll lose. They played. I mean, don't we give them any credit at all, Brian, for I mean, yeah, they're 2-8 in their last 10, but they could have been eliminated the last couple of days, and they hung in there and won. There's no, we don't, and Jack thinks. By the way, I'm with you. I don't think you can play this badly in September and just turn it on when the playoff starts. Jack and I had this conversation Friday, and he seems to think this is all irrelevant. Once the playoffs start, everybody's 0-0 and it doesn't matter. Well, they are all 0-0, but it does matter if you don't. Momentum does mean something in sports, especially in baseball where you're playing every day, which is why the bye. Theoretically, the Yankees have won 7 in a row. They win today. They won 8 in a row. Is it best that the Yankees take a week off? I'm not sure that it is. But, got some people in Pakistan watching today, apparently. Welcome. Seattle is the MLB's Lions, but there's more teams in the NFL, though, that haven't made it, isn't there? Let's go through that. I started to do this the other day, and I don't know that I ever got to it. So the Browns have not been to the Super Bowl. You could, at least the new Browns. Well, the Browns have all the history, right? So they've never been to the Super Bowl. The Jaguars have never been to the Super Bowl. The Texans have never been to the Super Bowl. Well, Lions have been around a lot longer than these teams, though, right? Tennessee's been, Chargers have been, Raiders been, Broncos been, Chiefs been, obviously. The Redskins have been. Lions, of course. Carolina has been. Falcons have been with great distinction. Seahawks, obviously, Rams, Cardinals. So you got 3 teams that have never been there. And obviously the Lions, who have been around for about 100 years, well, not 100, are the longest. They've been here the entire Super Bowl era. The other teams we talked about, Jacksonville and who? The Texans have not been around even, a small percentage of the time as the Lions. Dry. Antibiotics dry you out something terrible. When the Washington Capitals debuted, they won 8 games. They won 8 games? Well, I guess that's not good. So that defeats that argument I had. Good morning, Dave Guyette out in Amsterdam. Sorry your Syracuse Orangemen fared so badly yesterday against Duke. But the Yankees still have a chance to win the division today, so good luck. The NHL allowed the Knights and the Kraken. Kraken were better than most expansion teams, especially in their second year, to take non-protected players to be drafted by the expansion teams. I think you could only protect 7. Well, that's a big difference from other leagues' expansion rules, and I'm assuming that was different. Am I wrong though about the St. Louis Blues when they came in? I'm going to check this out. Now I'm interested because I have this feeling that the Blues, because when I was a kid, I had the old, the hockey game with the, I don't know what you want to call it. The players are on the, the stick or whatever. A blast. And the Blues were one of the teams on the game that I bought or was given. I'm sorry, I didn't buy it. I obviously didn't buy it. Let's see if I can check this out. I want to say, and there's, we get to their history. Come on, there's a lot. It's a pretty extensive. I don't want this. I want it all. No, that didn't work. Don't we have? All right, hold on. Season by season. There we go. Let me check this out. NHL record, season by season, St. Louis Blues. Let's go all the way back to 1967. Yeah, their second year, 37-25. First in the West. They lost in the conference final, or they lost in the Stanley Cup finals. They lost in the Stanley Cup finals their first 3 seasons. The St. Louis Blues. So this, again, the Vegas might have had an advantage, but this is not unusual. This is unusual in the annals of sports. They were only 27, 31, and 16, but they had a Stanley Cup final loss in their first season, second season, and third season. I knew it. They were on that game when it was given to me. I was a Blues fan kind of because I had them on this. I wasn't a real fan. What did I know? 9 years old. What is this? Nope, they lost a 15 game lead, by the way. I would have to say. I believe it was 15. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was looking at this the other day, and the Yankees, or the Red Sox, I should say, in 78 had a 14.5 game lead in July. And I think the Tigers had a 15 game lead at some point this year. Yeah, I don't think. Listen, I don't see how they rebound mentally from this type of season. Javi Baez went from, MVP candidate. Well, maybe that's a little hyperbole. He went from an all-star the first half to one of the least valuable players in the league the last 3 months. The most leading name in professional sports today is hockey's Wayne Gretzky. Go ahead, you're Stettin. Let's check him out. I believe he still works as the chief of the fire department in Alberta. I'm going to get him on the show. What is it, 14-3 still? Vikings drive, and Carson Wentz throws one up for grabs, and it's intercepted out of the end zone, I believe. That's classic Carson Wentz. Ugh. What do we got going on show-wise this week? So make sure you tune in on tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern. Jack and I will have on Jack and Keith's Weekend Update. We'll do our weekend review, and we're going to have a guest at 8:30, 8:40, Dan Hirschberg, who has written a book called The Baseball in Pinellas County. It's in Florida. Has hosted many spring training camps for Major League Baseball teams. A lot of good names have come out of Pinellas County for baseball. We'll talk to him about that. And a little bit of contemporary baseball as well. We'll be back Wednesday. I'll be on the Unprofessional Professional Sports Show Wednesday on National Streaming Sports, and I'll simulcast it here at 6 p.m. Eastern. 7 o'clock we'll do the college football huddle. I am having some thoughts and considering changing that day to 6 o'clock Tuesday. I don't know yet. Talking to some of the people in the room that day. Tuesdays have been working out better. I'm trying to have a day off, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I have 3 days off. And then do shows the other days and quite a few hours, as I said, 14 hours a week, but not working is, a little bit different. But we'll see. I'm thinking about it, but we're not going to do it just yet. So we'll see. Baez has been the least of the Tigers' issues. I wouldn't say least. The guy hasn't hit his weight the last 2 months. He's got one home run in the last 50 games or so. Maybe he's hit one this weekend. I don't know. He's been one of the big problems here. I haven't checked it. I want to see how Glaber's done too, because another argument I have with Jack is, the Yankees should never got rid of Glaber. Just because you play well in Detroit doesn't mean you play. If you didn't play well here, what do I care how well you play somewhere else? You had the same argument about Aaron Hicks forever. They dumped him. The Yankees never should dump Aaron Hicks because, he got off to a hot start in Baltimore. Where's Aaron Hicks today? And I don't care if he became an MVP in Baltimore. He didn't play well for my team. I don't need him. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that led the Yankees to keep Gary Sanchez forever because they were afraid to trade him. They were afraid he would be a great player somewhere else, which we have come to find out isn't a fact. But they held on to him for about 5 years too long because of that. Ken Griffey was asked about who his most iconic Mariner was, without skipping a beat. He talked about Alvin Davis. Alvin Davis was a really good first baseman in his time with the Mariners, and I think he played some with the Angels, if I'm not mistaken. Surprised he didn't say his dad, because if I'm not mistaken, they're the only two father and son to play together on a Major League Baseball team and in the same outfield. That was fun. He had some great things to say, Ken Griffey, too, about Cal Raleigh breaking his franchise record for home runs. Great season by Cal Raleigh. Torres hasn't played well lately, nor is Green. I know Green hasn't. I picked him up. Pitching, at least relief, has been horrible. Everybody's relief pitching is horrible, though. You look at the teams going into the playoffs, and nobody's got this lights-out bullpen. One place the Yankees, and I'll give Aaron Boone some credit for, is they've come up with a formula in the late innings, and the relievers have pitched much better the last month and during these last couple of winning streaks. So maybe the Yankees are straightening out their bullpen issues, but it seems like everybody's got bullpen issues. It's similar to offensive lines in NFL. Vikings blocked a field goal, then went down and kicked the field goal. 14-6 Steelers. The fans in Ireland can give Kentucky Derby attire a run for their money. I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out. Once I get done here, I'm going to go upstairs and watch the rest of this game. But that's pretty funny. Is it the hats? What is it? Did Aaron get some love from Keith? Did I give Aaron some love by mistake? I did. A little bit. Listen, I know I'm very hard on Aaron Boone. And I'm very hard on the Yankees. Even more so than the Patriots. But I always want to be wrong in my criticism of my team. I want Aaron Boone to be a Hall of Fame manager. Aaron Boone's been better this year than a lot of other years. And maybe getting rid of guys like Gleyber Torres, who never listened, although the base running is still atrocious, by the way. Even during this this resurgence in the last month, 6 weeks, I mean, Jazz Chisholm, he gets 30-30, great. But he runs, again, like a blind man on the bases half the time. I've seen him in the last month. I have seen him get thrown out at least 3 times on trying to steal second base, right? With 2 outs in the inning. It's a cardinal sin. Can't make the last out of the game at third base. But I give Aaron a little bit of love. Hench taking pitchers out of game when they were on fire because of the pitch count, innings. Well, again, that's the way baseball's played today, unfortunately. Right? You get me going for sure. You can't ever call me a homer. It's true. I want my teams to win as badly as anybody else. I am, again, a fanatic. We all know fan came from fanatic, and I am a fanatic. And I want my teams to do well, and I'm spoiled in a lot of cases, right? But remember, when I grew up, the Yankees sucked. So I didn't jump on any bandwagons, man. When I grew up, my team sucked. They were no good. I had 30 years of rooting for the Patriots of their 40-year existence before they won a Super Bowl. Unlike other Yankee fans born before me, I was 18 years old before they won 17 years old before they won a World Series. 16 before they got the one. And they were bad a lot of those years. Chris says he hasn't gotten asked this show-ending question for a while. So what's Keith up to? Any new music, books, any new places to eat? Yeah, I found a great new Mexican restaurant, El Fiesta, over here on 146 in Clifton Park is our new favorite place. Had my a little surprise retirement get-together there a few weeks back. You can see some pictures of that on my Facebook page as well, and a tower of margaritas in front of me. Did not end well. So that's a new favorite place to eat. Books, I'm reading right now a book called After Dallas, which is historical fiction based on events that happened after JFK's assassination. I'm also reading a book about the last of the Innocents, which is the LA Dodgers in the 60s, Danny, you might be interested in. Music, I'm a country fan, so still listening to a lot of country, loving Luke Combs and the rest. A lot of great artists out there today. I like the country. The stuff is more country, not the pop country stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. But there's still a lot of guys who are really country-like. And we saw a show, as I mentioned, A Beautiful Noise, Wednesday night at Proctor's Theater, which is basically the Neil Diamond story. I love Neil Diamond. And it's a very emotional show. It's his life told through his songs. And all during it, there's a narration because Neil Diamond, like today, or at least when they developed the show, is talking as an older person. He's 85 years old now, about his life, looking back at his life and the things that went well, the things he did wrong, and not being able to perform anymore. So it was an emotional show, and the songs played so well into the story. It's unbelievable. It was really well done. And the guy who was the lead, I think he won American Idol here a few years ago. I read, I think, in the playbill. But he sounded just like Neil Diamond, and he was really good. I'm on the opposite side of that. The Lions have been bad since starting when I was a fan. Well, you did have a couple. You haven't got to a Super Bowl. You've had a couple decent teams, right? And I was way ahead of you in 2022. I'm 35 years older than you. That can't be right. I'm doing my math wrong. If you were 7 in 2022, you were born in 2015. Holy Christ. I'm 35. You're not 20. How old are you? I'm doing my math really bad here, Brian. I went to Perth. I can't really do math. Duke Combs, I do believe, has a new album. It's funny because I don't know when they're new. I listen to the Highway all the time, and you often hear the songs before they're actually, get the mainstream or get released. So I don't really. I think it's a new album, and there's some good stuff on there. Loved. Well, why am I having so much trouble doing the math? I didn't think you were 35 years old, or I'm not doing that math well either. 30 years old. So let me see. I've been bad since I started as a fan at 7. Well, that would have meant you were born in 2015. Oh, 2022. All right, now I see. Oh, my God. Oh, gosh. You did go to one NFC championship game in there, didn't you? Didn't you lose a game, NFC championship game in the 90s to the Redskins? 14-0, something like that. I'm going to wait for your answer. And then we're going to wrap it up. You can give me your answer, and then we'll wrap it up anyway. You guys have been great today. I love doing this show with all you people. The ones who watch and don't comment, especially you guys who participate in the room. It's so much fun to me to play off your comments. Oh, 45-10? That must have been a different game I was thinking about. I did have the fact that they made a conference championship game right, though. It is 8:03. It's time to go. Going to go enjoy some football. Went a little long because I'm not traveling today. I'm going to stay home. And the rest, me and my second head over here, are going to relax, watch some football, and have a good day. So you guys enjoy the football. We'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack, and we'll review all of today's games, and we'll have some fun. So have a good weekend, guys. Rest your weekend. Bye-bye.